Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, so today we're diving into some profoundly dark and ancient lore. We're looking at a story that completely bridges the gap between pure selflessness and absolute terror. We are talking about the legend of Nisachar. This isn't just your standard monster story. It is a deeply, deeply tragic narrative about how an unthinkable betrayal essentially birthed an unstoppable force of vengeance. By the time we finish up here, you're going to see exactly how a completely righteous man was pushed so far to the edge that he just willingly shed his own humanity. All right, let's get into it.
As we start unpacking this legend, we really have to ask ourselves a fundamental question. What does it actually take to break a completely righteous man so deeply that he willingly embraces absolute darkness? I mean, we all like to think that good deeds are rewarded, right? But as this legend shows us, sometimes the most profound sacrifices are met with the absolute worst cruelties. Keep that thought in the back of your mind as we map out this incredible journey. All right, Section 1, the final standoff, Nisachar and Gurudev's battle.
So we're actually going to start right at the climax of our tale, deep inside this dark, secluded cave. Picture this. You've got Nisachar, an entity of pure, unadulterated darkness, armed with an actual boon of invincibility from Lord Shiva himself. This guy is so powerful that his strikes carry enough force to literally destroy an entire planet. But standing right across from him is Gurudev, and he isn't intimidated in the slightest. When Nisachar unleashes this ultimate planet-destroying attack, Gurudev effortlessly deflects it, literally just a simple wave of his hand. He reveals that if Nisachar is made of darkness, Gurudev is the embodiment of pure light. It's a kind of light the demon can't even begin to fathom. Completely shocked that his absolute power was swatted away like it was nothing, Nisachar watches as Gurudev summons this glowing divine trident. And honestly, this is where the story shifts in a massive way. Because the seemingly fearless, immortal monster, he suddenly drops to his knees. But he doesn't beg for his life. Instead, he pleads, saying, "My humanity died from the kicks of people. Listen to my story once, otherwise my soul will not find peace." He desperately wants this holy man to understand the tragedy that created him before that final blow is struck. Which brings us to Section 2, the Golden Rule, the king's great sacrifice. Okay, to actually understand this monster, we have to flash back years earlier to a place called Pratapnagar. Long before he was ever a demon, King Bonsing was the absolute embodiment of selflessness. He didn't just rule his citizens, he literally viewed them as his own children. I mean, he was known to gladly empty out his royal vaults just to fund a poor commoner's wedding. He was so purely good that when a dark tantric came to him and warned him that a dormant demon slept inside him, the king just couldn't believe it. He even went so far as to rescue and marry a banished, suicidal princess named Bhanumati. She had been rejected by her own father and labeled a quote-unquote curse, but the king married her just to give her a home and prove she wasn't a bad omen. He just loved without any limits. But, that kind of boundless generosity eventually demanded the ultimate sacrifice. When the severe supernatural drought hits Pratapnagar, the king finds out from his guru that the rivers have been artificially blocked by this massive cursed rock. But here's the catch. Only the king can break it, and doing so is going to drain his actual life force. So, over a grueling 8-month period, working day and night like a laborer and surviving on basically just scraps, he single-handedly smashes this rock. By month 8, it finally shatters, the rivers flow again, completely saving his kingdom. But the physical toll? It's irreversible. The king's body is reduced to a skeleton, and his lifespan has been whittled down to a mere 30 days. Moving on to Section 3, the illusion of love, the witch's cruel betrayal. So, King Bonsing drags himself back to his kingdom. He's a frail, dying man, fully expecting a warm embrace from his people. But instead of a hero's welcome, he faces just unimaginable cruelty. The very citizens he just saved start hurling insults at him. They call him a coward, a selfish ruler who fled the kingdom during the drought. The dying hero laments, "The people I sacrificed my life for won't even give me a glass of water." Think about that. The exact people whose thirst he just quenched refused him a single drop. Desperate for just a shred of comfort, he stumbles back to his palace to find his beloved queen Bhanumati. But guys, here lies the most horrifying truth of all. She wasn't some cursed princess. She was actually a wicked, dark sorceress. She reveals that she orchestrated this entire deception, using dark magic to mind control the villagers and turn them against him,
all so she could steal the throne. And with this cruel laugh, she has the dying, starving king unceremoniously thrown right out of his own palace.
That takes us right into Section 4, Embracing the Darkness, Birth of the Terrifying Demon. Starving, betrayed, and totally stripped of his humanity, his boundless love instantly contorted into pure, unadulterated hate. He figures if goodness rewarded him with a torturous death, he's going to become the exact nightmare they all deserve. So he undertakes this dark, agonizing ritual. First, he actually seeks out the very tantric who predicted his downfall all those years ago. Then, fueled by this intense fire of vengeance, he vows to completely destroy the queen and those treacherous villagers. Next, he goes through this agonizing meditation, standing on one leg before the demon god Rakshas Dev, demanding a body that is capable of just unimaginable revenge. And finally, he permanently sheds his mortal, dying frame. He didn't just transform here, he was entirely reborn. He became Nisachar, an immortal demon born purely out of darkness and vengeance. He was granted a body whose power would literally only grow stronger with time. He's completely immune to normal death, vulnerable only to one very specific divine lineage, the lineage of the tantric who guided him. And in this terrifying new form, Nisachar absolutely unleashed hell. He stormed the kingdom, brutally obliterating the deceitful sorceress queen and slaughtering the brainwashed villagers in this massive wave of demonic retribution. He became an unstoppable force of terror. Honestly, he was so dangerous that the tantric of that era eventually had to trap his essence inside a perfume bottle and cast his physical body into a well just to temporarily pause his wrath. And finally, Section 5, the final piece, Nishachar's final liberation. So, this whole tragic tale brings us right back full circle to the present moment in that dark cave, where Gurudev is standing over the weeping, monstrous form of Nisachar. Having finally shared his painful truth, the demon is totally quiet. Gurudev, who's been listening intently, acknowledges the horrifying, agonizing injustice that King Ban Singh suffered. He understands exactly why the king broke, but he also knows this demonic curse has to end. With solemn respect, Gurudev plunges the glowing divine trident deep into Nishachar's chest. Because Nisachar is immune to normal death, only this divine weapon can grant him true liberation, permanently freeing his tormented soul from its shell of vengeance. As we wrap up this explainer today, I really want you to think about this. Does absolute betrayal justify monstrous revenge? Or was Nisachar's destruction at the hands of Gurudev the ultimate, and maybe only act of mercy he ever actually received? It's such a fascinating look at the duality of human nature, right? It shows how easily the purest love can be twisted into the darkest hate when pushed to the absolute brink. Think about that, and let it challenge your perspective on heroes and monsters. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the stories you hear.